Grab a cup, pull up a chair. The Veterans Coffee Club Podcast is on the air. Different branches, different posts, different years, same ride. We know the long convoys, guardships, chow halls, pride. We know the crackle of a radio, boots humming on the floor, letters home, family calls, the waiting by the door. No matter where we serve or the uniform we wore, there's always room around this table. Come on in and shut the door. Veterans Coffee Club Podcast. Pull up and take a seat. One cup, one story. Keep the pulse and neat. Veterans Coffee Club, where the words run deep. We show up, we speak up, and we keep what we keep. With a hot cup of coffee and some truth we need to say. Veterans helping veterans, that's how we lead the way. Blue or green, doesn't matter. Yeah, you still in. If you're in it now, say so. We all pack the boxes, we move from town to town. Hey! Late nights with the news on, yeah, and the phone right there. You know that life too, yeah, we live some of it. You ever have one of those days you don't know what to say all the time? That's why we sit here. From yesterday's warriors to those still serving today, we honor every sacrifice and the price that freedom paid. The Veterans Coffee Club Podcast. Grab a cup, take a seat. One cup, one story. Honest talk, no repeat. The Veterans Coffee Club Podcast. Say it plain, say it straight. We show up, we speak up. No backing out the gate. So grab a cup and join us. We keep it real, we keep it true. The Veterans Coffee Club Podcast starts right here with you. Veterans helping veterans. One cup, one story, and one conversation at a time.
Hey, good morning, good morning. Oh, there I am. Okay, my hair's a mess. It's raining outside. And I'm off to a rough start. Off to a late start. Let's just say that. Late start. And there's a big mess. This is my office. So this right here is part of the legal stuff I'm dealing with. And I'll get to that later. But I'm Nicole Schuyler Kapuscinski. I am the host of the Veterans Coffee Club Podcast. And we teamed up with Mouthwash platform in the last month. And here we are. It's going to be our first episode on the Mouthwash platform. And we got a big show today. Hoping people can join in with us as we go. I got to get myself off the screen. I got an ugly mug. Humidity. I mean, I know it's going to rain, but man, living by the river, I'm telling you what, it is insane. Humidity. Okay. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Was that the song, or that you can hear me on here. Oh, I don't even got the right glasses on. See? And then I have all my stuff set up on the StreamYard for Nicole in all caps on Thursday. And for some reason, I forgot to do all my stuff like last night. So as I wake up this morning and I'm finding all this information online, started getting nervous. And then I went to sign in, and then I realized, oh crap, I'm on a new platform today. I'm on a different StreamYard. None of my stuff is transferred over. And okay, song. Yeah. So that's why I was running a few minutes late today. Then while we're here, this is the event I created on the actual Veterans Coffee Club podcast social media. So this helps people to know when we're going to be on, and if we cancel or something weird, that's where it would be at. So let me go grab. But for the main interaction, we're going to be on Mouthwash platform now for here on out. There has been a little issue with our YouTube channel, because apparently you have to have so many subscribers before you can start going live every weekend, or whenever you want. And since the Veterans Coffee Club podcast channel is a new build, we'll be coming. Well, we can't go live. You know what? I don't know, Tyler. I just I was trying to get me a background this morning from StreamYard. So these little pictures here is just something it threw in, and I'm assuming it's a helicopter of some sort, and it might be an old school one, and I'll look at it here in a minute once I get this link. I don't know if I can zoom in though, because it's that's a StreamYard thing, not mine. So try to grab this mouthwash link real quick and throw it into the event link on Facebook. And I know some people don't use Facebook. I use it because it helps me out tremendously for free. So I can do a lot of stuff without having to go over to the website and put a bunch of information on over there, or pay. I don't have to pay for a fancy website, even though I did get one. I just don't have it live yet. Working out some kinks. Okay, let's see. Adding a post. Okay. Come hang out with us. Okay. And it doesn't matter. I don't care who's on here, because I think hopefully, well, okay, here, good question. So, Tyler, we talk about all kinds of stuff. Whatever we want, really. A lot of it has to do with veterans, though, mainly veterans topics. Anything affecting the veterans community, from VA disability to what I want to talk about. The Israel merger today is basically what I'm getting to. Please hit the like button and share with other veterans. Yes, please and thank you. So yeah, Tyler, so basically we talk about whatever we want. And the main premise is, though, that I can get a panel of other veterans to come on here. So I think I can have 4. So plus 1, me, and plus 3 more co-hosts or special guests to come on for the week. And we just really started doing this weekly, in the last month. And then John, the Mouthwash Talk Show, asked me to, I started doing Nicole in all caps with him, or with the platform, on Thursdays. And then he asked if I wanted to add one of my other channels or podcasts, and I said sure. And this is the one we picked to put on there, because we talk about all kinds of stuff, from local. Well, I don't know. I used to talk about local politics too, But then when you start going into other realms of other counties and states, it's kind of hard to just talk about local stuff. So I try to cover things that will kind of blanket coverage. Um, Last week we talked about the Israel merger, and it was kind of funny because I sat here and discussed what I thought it was going to be, and then I found a video from a guy on YouTube, and I don't know if we'll be able to find it again. But everything that I thought about the Israel merger, I thought, well, they're gonna merge us, and then we're gonna have to, send the younger generations to war. All that. This other guy says that's not what it is. And let me get over here. Oh, sometimes we listen to the little clips, stuff that's said or done this week that's really important. And sometimes the guys I follow on YouTube usually have some really good clips once I start looking for a topic to start covering. Valhalla VFT, he's really, really good. So it just depends, I guess, what kind of veteran you are, because there's so many different kinds of us. And I really didn't realize how many different types of veterans there were until I started doing like this stuff for the Veterans Coffee Club. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, independents. It's like everything that you have in the civilian world across the board, but you're all connected by service. And so there's a little bit more, I don't know the word, revere for one another. At least I used to have more than what I have now after being kind of mistreated by other veterans. But yeah, oh, this one. Valhalla VFT. Go check him out. So, but fair warning, if you go look at his stuff, he does not like Trump. So there's that. He has a very strong opinion about Trump. So if you are a big Trump supporter, his stuff may not be for you. But he does cover, and I'll just do the screen here. I'll get me off there because it's not really about me anyway. So he does some really good stuff, and I clipped him last week and I played a bunch of his stuff, but I don't always agree with everything that he talks about on there. And I never know when he's gonna say something that could be, hurtful to other listeners. So that's go watch his stuff if you really want to have a paradigm shift. So there's that. Okay. He is one of the guys who covered the Charlie Kirk case. So if you want to go down that rabbit hole, he's got a lot of good videos to watch there. So let's go back. But yeah, check out his channel. I really just started getting into Sean Ryan in the last couple weeks, which is crazy. And he just came out. He's got a couple. He just did a with Aaron Brockovich. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can get his channel. Okay, that's what it is. And then he did another one with what's the guy? Ryan Tucker. Is that his name? I think. Yep. Oh, Tucker Carlson. I need more coffee. Wake up. So if you don't know who Sean Ryan is, you've never heard of him, I suggest, I like him. I like this guy. And he's ex-special forces, so he's got a lot of machismo, as they say. He's got a lot more military cred than me. So check out some of his stuff. But so the one that he just brought out was this Aaron Brockovich whistleblower exposes toxic water. So if you want to learn about toxic water, and check this one out. But he on the Tucker Carlson, so Sean Ryan just recently had some type of spiritual encounter in the last couple years. And so there's some good stuff on that. So check him out. I know he has a way bigger platform than me, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know about other veterans if somebody doesn't tell them about it, especially if they're not big on checking out YouTube channels or just searching military subjects. So he's another good one. If you don't know, go check his out. He's got hours and hours and hours of footage. And at this point, he's now up to 6.42 million subscribers. Congratulations. But I liked what he said the other day because he's now at the point where he doesn't even look at his numbers anymore. And I'm over here like, what? You don't look at your numbers? But it makes sense because he's had these epiphanies all along the way. And he's decided that, the stuff that he thought mattered doesn't. And that's kind of like the reality or just a conclusion that a lot of vets have been coming to lately. A lot of us are disappointed. I was playing with my stuff here real quick before I carry on. So if you notice that, sorry, squirrel. So yeah, what I noticed about him this week on the Tucker Carlson show is that he was explaining how he's just kind of past that phase of trying to be accepted and, pleasing the public. And he supposedly is only over here on YouTube now. So that's kind of cool. It gives me hopes because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go myself onto some of these other platforms, and then some of them cost money. So when you're looking at how can you get your points across without having to spend a bunch of money, you find free. So free to me is YouTube and Facebook. Okay. Before I jump in, I just gotta give these shout outs because these guys are awesome. And then I was gonna talk about one subject, but I think I'll wait and do a separate podcast for that one. You guys want to know how to do your veterans benefit stuff and you're not too sure on, you don't, or you can't get your VSO or a VSO to answer the phone, I also strongly suggest to go find people like the Civ Div. And he's ex-military too, so he can walk you through getting your VA ratings increased. And I listened to some of the stuff like the tinnitus. I went and got my tinnitus. I got my 10% on tinnitus like last year, the year before. So he's got a bunch of tips, and then you can listen to what he has to say and then go implement it, or the snail crawl pace is available too, and you can do a lot of it now online. Like you can go to the VA website and input your information yourself and follow along with your cases without having to go through a third or fourth party to get answers. I like it. I'm getting, like, I filed one in February right after I ran for office, and I got it back. I don't know, it was pretty quick. It seemed like it was like 3 to 6 months later. I had one hearing and I already had a very large compensation hit my bank. So it is what it is. But I've been listening to a lot of these guys and they have helped me get a lot of stuff. And then if you haven't been paying attention to what's going on in DC with how long is this? I'm going to click on, let me see. Come on, skip button. Okay, commercial. There it is. Oh, that's 2 hours. Okay. All right. Check that out, though. VA Secretary defends VA budget for, fiscal year 2027. The other thing they were fighting over in DC was something about I don't even remember the name of it right now, but I know that it got the veteran community split right down the middle. Everybody was arguing about last week. You had people on one side, you had people on another side, and then somebody wore a T-shirt into Congress or one of those hearings, and it made one of the politicians mad, and he tried to take the credentials for the VFW. So of course, that puts the veterans of foreign wars at odds with other veterans who would be willing to take our benefits or change them in a way that may not be the most beneficial. I think what it boiled down to was the way the wording, the way it was written, made it sound like the veterans of today were going to have to help pay for veterans of tomorrow. And I had to stand with the BFW on their stance, and pretty much no, we were promised stuff, we should get it, and we shouldn't have to pay for vets of the future when they're spending billions of dollars on these other wars, and then they can't take care of us when we come home. So it kind of sucks. And then a lot of places don't have, like here in Madison County, we have a veteran service officer, okay, with the county. And so a lot of people can go in there, talk to, and I think we've had so many, it keeps shifting. I think we've had 4 or 5 in the last couple of years. The David guy just stepped down, and then we got a new one, and I'm not really familiar with the new one. So if your county doesn't have it, it kind of sucks, because then you're stuck left to, trying to find somebody to help you file once you get home. I had Tanya Rose, which is a very good friend of mine, and she was supposed to come on the podcast on Thursday, and then she was supposed to come on this morning, kind of, or I asked her yesterday, but she stayed up super, super late, and she says that she is going to be sleeping. So the whole, I guess, how this topic I wanted to talk about came about was her, because she kept sending me stuff like I wasn't paying attention to it. I don't want to get into some of the other stuff that I've been hearing on this topic. See, stuff like that, like people, like the veterans community is up in arms. Is Congress about to merge the IDF with the American military? That's concerning. So Tanya sent me something that said about how unconstitutional it was to actually merge the United States military with a foreign entity. And I was like, what? I didn't think about it, because it's just not one of my topics that I want to, cover. And then I hate thinking that we're going to do this to people. And I want to jump over here real quick. So, is it? I don't want to pull up a conversation, because me and her have some funny talks on the private messenger, so I don't want you guys to see all that. So she sent me some links, though, that said it's unconstitutional. And I'm like, okay, see, now this says no. Okay, this says they're not merging. Okay, it's saying that the claims of merger mischaracterize legislative provisions, focus purely on defense technology sharing and strategic cooperation. So see here, this is what happens, and not just in the veterans community. And I mean, I'm going to look around here and try to find some more information, so that by the time I walk away today, I will know, kind of like last week when it first popped up. I thought, first Israel has the quick response teams, right? So like if they're having like the old school, like biblical stuff. So they have walls, and if they feel threatened within those walls, you'll hear the sirens, and everybody's got to meet up, and they do their due. But everybody, I believe in, well, here, let's go ahead. Let's do this one. Israel. So they pretty much put everybody in, what would you call them? Aaron, what would that be? Country? Or what is Israel? I'm having a brain fart. Let's see. Let's hit Wikipedia. I don't know if he can hear me. Are they a nation? Nation of Israel. See, that's why you ask your husband stuff. Say it again. Has it got you thinking now? Okay, he's in there. He'll be thinking. He'll send me some stuff. Okay. So this is very interesting because a lot of people get it confused because Israel was in the diaspora, or they lost the biblical Israel back in 70 AD, and then they got dispersed all over the world from biblical tales and like biblical timelines. So they really weren't technically a nation again until 1948. And looks like Israeli Declaration of Independence. A lot of people don't know that. Fun fact, 1948. Israel Defense Forces. And see, I have always liked how, or what I've heard about the IDF as far as structure and response, because it kind of shows you what our nation should be focusing on, which I truly believe is our nation. We should be focusing on our borders and forming, getting back to a union and not letting everybody get divided, which seems to be across the board, not just in the veterans communities, but in counties. Veterans and counties are starting to separate and split. And, well, okay, perfect example. I got in trouble this year from the Republican Party because I liked something from a Democrat. And then I shared some posts because I run a huge local network. But I was punished for congratulating another combat veteran who happens to have a different political belief than me. And for that, they then started calling me, saying I wasn't a Republican. And it went so far as my opposition in Madison County went and filed a district complaint based on frivolous information. They wouldn't listen to me. They wouldn't let me respond. So they gave me no due process, none. And so here I'm in my feral 40s, and I've fought for the Constitution and all this stuff my whole entire life. And in a blink of an eye, the party that I thought that I served and that I belonged to would not pee on me if I was on fire. Okay, they do, for some reason they just don't like me. Maybe because I asked too many questions, and not all of them, because I thought the grassroots base Republican voters like me because they helped me get the Indiana delegate position that the local voter fraud Vaughn then filed a complaint on me, and they had me, what I feel, erroneously removed from an Indiana elected delegate position because supposedly the Supreme Court ruled that party organizations are allowed to pick who's in their party structure. Okay. So that goes for the Democrats too. So it wasn't just the Republican Party. It's either party can choose who they put within their organizational structure, from this bottom level cities, towns, to counties, to districts, to the state. So supposedly if I would have been elected to any other local position, they couldn't have done it, but because it was an organizational position, I got kicked out. So we are divided across the board politically, and it's sad. And this right here is just merging with other nations is kind of a big deal. So when I heard about the merger, back to my main concern was that I do not feel like the younger generations are physically and emotionally ready to be drafted at the age of 18 or sent to war, right? Like, I just don't. And then after the pandemic stuff, a lot of them, I've been seeing them talk lately, and they are upset because a lot of them aren't able to get out on their own yet, for miscellaneous reasons. So that's another story for another day. But I didn't feel like they would be ready to be drafted and sent to war. I think we should, like locally we have the APA, and they teach them military structure and all this stuff. I think it would be nice for everybody to have to grow up doing that, but that's for personal, like a personal growth kind of thing, more than I want them to defend, in war. So anyway, look into this Israel stuff. Say they got a good background. And then the guy that I was listening to last week said that they're not going to merge it, like Israel's gonna start causing drafts. But see, at this point, I don't know, because there's so much stuff circulating and swirling. That's why we're looking at it. But they have girls, females and males. But once you get in, we all bleed green. That's what they taught me. We all bleed green. Or, I don't know, I guess each military unit would say their own motivational stuff. But yeah, so they don't just draft the boys, the young men. Their girls or their females also carry around guns, from what I understand, 24/7 over there. So yeah, so the history of Israel is kind of interesting. What we consider Israel today, because some of it lines up with the Bible, but not in the way that we've been taught. So like I said, it's a good topic to get yourself into. A lot of religion. It'll have you questioning stuff. Okay. Moving along. What does... Look, now you can see on my little humidity. Go back over here. Don't look at my ugly mug. Share screen. Okay, back to the Israel merger. Down here. Okay. See, this is what, and I do truly understand now. Like, I remember when everybody was getting in trouble for posting stuff on Facebook and they would take our stuff off. When you start dealing with thousands of people putting misinformation out, it starts making it really hard to pick through which is true and which is not. So those disclaimers that got on my nerves for a long time, because they always flag stuff I would put on. So I was like flagged like every day during that period. I started learning about how to pick through my sources better. That's why when I found good sources that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Valhalla, Sean Ryan's the new one, Civ Div, who's that other guy? Ah, crap. There's another one. Oh, After the Uniform's a really good one. You can find him on social media. That's when I started really, really thinking about what sources do I want to get my news from. I don't want to get it from mainstream media because, of course, a lot of it I feel is biased to one side or the other, and I want raw, like, give it to me. Don't sugarcoat it. Okay. That's too long too. The one guy said it perfectly though. He said all the mischaracterizations that was going around, and a lot of people, it's something about the tech, and I haven't seen the actual contract. It's another long one. So yeah, it depends on what I just want like a 4 or 5 minute one. Here he goes. Treason alert. So, right, so I just looked up something and it said whatever my question was not accurate. Israel military merger treason. So let's go back over here. Because whenever I see treason, it's like my spider senses. Like, I don't have hair here, so I would have done this arm, but it was shaved for tattoo. So whenever I hear something, my little hairs on my arm stand up. It makes me want to go look. So here's another one. So the claim that the United States and Israeli militaries are merging in an act of treason stems from intense political debate over Section 219 of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. Okay, that's funny. Blonde moment. Even though my hair's not blonde as an adult, this is my natural brown color. But when I was a kid, I was super blonde and I was dingy. So as I get older, and nothing against blondes, it's just a joke. Yeah, I have moments where I thought that NDA was like the non-disclosure agreement. I kept seeing that. So it's not non-disclosure. It's National Defense Authorization Act. So if you see that next to some of these topics, that's what they're referencing, not the other one, NDA. So while critics across the political spectrum have used the term treasonous to condemn the provision, the bill actually proposes an expansion of defense technology, not a literal merger of the two nations' armed forces. So that's important because a lot of people got on here thinking that they were merging the militaries. I'm one of them. It still seems weird because it feels like even if you do it, it's still giving them access. Oh, I can't remember which one said it this week. And so they were talking about the IDF coming over, and if they want to try to put us in some type of police state, and other fellow Americans not wanting to police Americans, and they would need foreign entities to come in and police us. That hit home because I'm like, well, that I could see that because I thought that back in 2008, like what if they call us in to do something and we have to police America like we do, overseas, and then how many people I wouldn't have been able to do things to other Americans. Just me. I wouldn't be able to. You couldn't order me to hurt somebody else in my own on our soil or try to imprison someone because they say things that we don't like. Because I'm a strong, I guess I'm more of a constitutionalist now that I'm an adult. More so now than what I was when I was in, and then just about everybody having freedom, the same freedoms, and we just need to learn how to communicate and be adults together sometimes instead of trying to punch each other in the throat or whatever. And then I've also seen some stuff where Netanyahu may have came to New York and there was something about a threat of arrest for war crimes, and then somebody else said he may have threatened New York with the IDF. So you just gotta watch these things. And sorry, but men are more quick to jump into some types of fights than women are sometimes. Okay. So one day later, just 104 House lawmakers and only one Republican voted on a failed amendment on the different bill to cut 3.3 billion in military. Wait. Why are we sending 3.3 billion in military aid to Israel when we can't even get VA benefits for the veterans we have? That makes sense why people were complaining about the billions of dollars, but I thought they were referencing the billions of dollars being spent on the Iran, like war in Iran, war in Iraq, war in, where else? Ukraine, Russia. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of money. And so then you start thinking about, why do we have a homeless problem in America? Because we're sending billions of dollars. And I am pro-Israel. Maybe not the pro-Israel that is happening, the 1948 version and what they have now, but I am the pro-biblical Israel. But I'm not going to take $3,000 of my monthly VA check and send it overseas. I wouldn't do that. So that bothers me, that we would want to aid them to that amount, with all the stories that I see coming online about some of the stuff in Palestine. And then knowing some of the stuff I know about that study, you want to go down a rabbit hole, go take a look at DNA genetics of those who call themselves Israelites or Jews today versus the Palestinians. And from the video I understood, there was Palestinians that had more genetic markers that matched the biblical Israel than those who were in Israel calling themselves Jews. So that is a rabbit hole that just blows your mind. So go down that sometime. Back to, I'm in shock right now. 3.3 billion in aid to Israel. What are we doing? So okay, so stuff like this too. I was trained to be neutral, okay? Like, we weren't allowed to talk about which side we were on, even though they asked to find out which side you were on, politically. At least I remember. Some people tell me they don't remember that. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm so far behind. Can I increase the volume on my end? It's probably me just whispering. So that's, I don't know. It's probably just me whispering because I'm reading something and I wasn't confident about it. So I will use my big girl voice and try to project the sound better. And okay, here's my law buddy. What silly law used to deny one congratulations of others? Okay, so I'm behind on that comment because I was reading the screens. Okay, let me go back up here. Okay. Here's Aiden. Thank you, Aiden. Sorry, I'm just now seeing your comment. I'm stoked. I mean, I appreciate it because after getting, punished, it was kind of refreshing to have John be so supportive of me to keep, getting out there. Because I was doing the Two Chicks podcast on Thursdays, and then he said it was kind of a long name, so let's go with Nicole in all caps, because a lot of people can't say my married last name. So I'm very happy with the merger with Mouthwash. Now the Israel merger, I don't know. I'm still looking at that. So now that I know that Karen's on here, Karen, while I'm sitting here, okay, I see you put something here. Let's see. Israel nation. AI speaks of countries. So here's the USA. Our states are countries within our nation. You know what? That is something that I was looking at this week, Karen, because it feels like every time that I have an issue with federal stuff, and I try to quote federal laws and codes and protections, they fall back on the Indiana Constitution a lot of times. And then some of it's in the Indiana Constitution, and then it's like they just sit there and look at me when I say something to them. You've seen some of my videos. So what do you think about the Israel nation merger with, if it was to, like, the treason part, is there something that you can find, because I know you seem to be a little bit more up to date with certain things, like a treasonous comment, or you might just be able to look it up for me real quick because you know how to find how is it treason for what happened. So okay, go over here. Got another one. Tyrants and trolls lie to create sheeple, then control them. That's kind of what I'm seeing, and I don't like the way that it makes me feel. I don't like the people that I once voted for. Okay, like, okay, example, Madison County. I just have, that's my example I have. I voted to help this county go red. Okay, and for most of my life, because I was a Republican, I thought, how cool would it be if we won a complete election, right? A complete board, like county council. Okay, that was the one. And it was actually county, everything above city, Madison County wide. I do believe right now is still full red. Okay, full red. Everybody's Republicans. And now we're here, fast forward, and they don't let me speak. They take away our freedom of speech. They tell people that I'm a terrorist. They tell they tell people I'm mean, and that, whatever. I just hold them accountable. But they have taken our time at the podium. Then they revert back to, I don't even know what. So just, it's hard. And so then what I learned from the experience is that there's a reason why boards need to have a balance of Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, Americans. Okay, it needs to be a balance, because sometimes, and I don't even really like calling it a Republican or calling it a Democrat, right? I don't. But you'll have a Republican American with one idea, and then you might have a Democrat one with another idea. And the whole thing is working together for the greater good of the community, but then they start, it seems like everybody's fighting over these little things that have nothing to do with the price of rice in China, but they're still going to fight. And this guy's got this right, and this guy's got this right. And then before you know it, nothing's getting done. So, or you got, like, say, a Democrat makes a decision and a Republican could come in and say, hey, maybe we should do it like this. And they compromise together to get the job done. Vice versa. Republican has an idea and they should be shaping these ideas for their communities and not just for a party, because that's what is starting to keep us divided. And I did not know how divided we were until I ran for office. And then I realized when I said, or I had to choose a party for my ticket, right? Are you going to run on the Republican ticket? And I really didn't. I know what it means now. The primaries are for the organizations, okay? I didn't realize that, like, how extensive it was until 2026. But once I chose a party, once I put a Republican on my ticket, I lost friends. I lost civilian friends that were Democrats. And it was very hurtful because I really liked them as people. And they were so hurt by things that the Republicans had done or were doing that when I did that, I hurt their feelings and they felt like I was siding. Long story short, the Trump haters thought that I was condoning certain behaviors that I don't condone. Because I'm a grassroots Republican, I really didn't understand how all of that operational stuff within the parties worked until I got hit by the organizational structure. So there's that. And it was very hurtful to see people that I once voted for and would have stood next to, whatever. It was a great divide, I feel like, happened. So for this right here to be where we're at now, And then we keep blaming each other. That's why we keep having problems. But 3.3 billion either way to military aid to Israel is pretty extreme. So, okay. So with the, I really truly, what I've learned from my experiences, I believe that there needs to be different beliefs on these county boards and not just one party with multiple belief systems within that party structure. And that's what we have on the county in 2026 versus what it's supposed to be. So then they split right down the middle, and you got a lot of times with county, 4 of them want to go one way and 3 of them want to go the other way, and most of the time the 4 win. And I used to call them the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse because it was horrible, but we got them voted out. So now there's still 4 that like to choose together, but it's much different. So but I have learned that it's better to have multiple mindsets than just one. Like military, I think anybody on here, if you've been in the military, you understand the camaraderie that we have with one another and how we work together. I mean, the military can come together and work, and some veterans can too, but right now a lot of us are bickering back and forth at stupid crap. But we shouldn't be bickering back and forth at the national level or state level. Okay, let me get back over here for a second, because I see Karen's got a bunch of stuff here now. U.S. built Israel's military equipment. Why? How many others have we created to war against us? Well, you know, they say that we gave the weapons to Osama bin Laden. They say Bush did. And if I would have known all that back then, craziness. Okay. What's this one? Hail Nicole. Speaking of abuse, yeah. Speaking of abuse against you, election. Yeah, and I was going to talk about that some this morning because some other stuff popped up this morning, but I'm going to try to stick to the other with Israel merger because I really want to know. I still got an hour, and I want to feel confident that if I go out talking to people this week, that I know that what I'm talking about, because I don't like looking stupid to other people. Okay, state constitutions added codes, Roman civil law, not part of the constitutional laws. Is that like the difference between the, was it sea time law? I can't remember the 2 names. It's like you got the land, the law of the land, and the law of the sea. And for some reason they blend them. I think Alice Flowers was one that was very adamant about the blend. And she did wind up winning her Supreme Court case against one of the locals. Let's see. We the people must instruct our servants. Just saying. Okay. You know what? I'm going to do that. So when I just turn the comments on. So I think this helps me see what's going on. So that I make sure to look over here and see what my comments are. Okay. Oops. Let me get that off there. Okay. Back to, that's a big deal. I would click on that. I'll go down that rabbit hole another time, and maybe that's something we can talk about next week. Because I feel like this would definitely put a damper on the VA, which and then when they make cuts, I do that so much, you guys. Look at that. I didn't even get out of off the screen and I just booted it. Okay. Man. I want that one dude from last week. I wish I would have saved it. Oh. Speaking of. Okay, here. I want to do this one and then I'm going to go off here. So speak and what is that? What is that saying? Ask and ye shall receive. So thank you. I don't know if YouTube AI is
Congress
listening to me. I gotta turn my speaker, because when somebody said something about the volume, I turned my speaker up, and I don't think it was my speaker. I think it's just my level on the microphone, which I don't think I can turn mine up. Or can I? Hold on. Ooh. Guess what? Oh, nope. It's automatically adjust mic volume. Let me see. I just turned it up, and hopefully that works. I do not want to turn it up too high, because then I don't want to blow people's ears out that tune in. But hopefully that helps whatever problem when I start kind of going down in my tone when I'm reading the screen. So there's that. So I'm going to play this one real quick, because he breaks this down better than I can. And I don't want to mess up what he's saying, because he does make some good points. So let me.
is trying to merge Israeli and American militaries together, and they hit it in a defense bill. In Section 224 of the American National Defense Authorization Act, they called for an Israel-American Technology Cooperation Initiative.
So this kid says go to Section 224. So let's talk about what 224 actually does and says. Section 224 creates something called the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. It designates a Department of Defense executive agent to coordinate research and development, testing, evaluation, acquisition pathways, and industrial cooperation between the United States and Israel. Funny enough, these same people will say, well, we give money to Israel. What do we get back from them? This is just another thing added on. If you guys want to know more, you can watch my video that talks about a lot of stuff we get from Israel. Notice what is missing from that description. There is no military merger. There is no combined army. There's no transfer of command authority. This is all just made up nonsense from that. Or they read it online and they're just repeating it. A lot of people are getting hung up on the word integration, but words matter. In defense acquisition language, integration does not mean integrating American soldiers into the IDF or Israeli soldiers into the US military. It means integrating useful technologies into American systems and programs, making us better. Things like missile defense, counter-drone technology, artificial intelligence, cyber capabilities, electronic warfare systems, sensors, and anti-tunnel technology. I wonder, what country in the world is one of the best at exactly those things I just mentioned? Yes, Israel. So when people claim our militaries are merging, one of two things is happening. Either they don't understand defense acquisition terminology, or they do understand it and they're intentionally misleading you. It's probably that one. Neither option is good, because 224 is about technology cooperation between strategic allies. It's not surrendering American sovereignty in any way. The bill does not place American troops under Israeli command. It does not place Israeli troops under American command. It does not create a combined military. It does not change Title 10 command authority. It does not alter the president's role as commander-in-chief. And no, it does not colonize America. What it does do is recognize reality. The United States and Israel face many of the same threats. Iran, its proxy networks, drone swarms, missile attacks, cyber warfare, tunnel networks, electronic warfare, urban combat environments. Israel has spent years fighting exactly these kind of threats: rockets, drones, tunnels, cyber operations, Iranian proxy groups, definitely, information warfare, and more. And that means they generate real-world battlefield experience and combat-tested innovation that can benefit American forces. Ignoring those lessons would make absolutely no sense. At the same time, the United States brings massive industrial capacity, global reach, advanced testing infrastructure, and one of the largest defense ecosystems on Earth. Israel brings rapid innovation, battlefield feedback, and combat-tested technology. That's called cooperation. That's called having allies. When you combine the two, you get a very good product. Here's the part nobody wants to talk about. The same people screaming military merger would have no problem if America was cooperating with NATO allies, Australia, the United Kingdom, Japan, or South Korea. But when the ally is Israel, suddenly defense cooperation becomes colonization. Read Section 224 for yourselves. Don't let people online who either don't understand the language or hope that you don't understand it tell you what the bill says.
Congress is trying to merge Israel.
See, I like that guy. Well, I mean, let me go back. I do truly believe all corruption is connected, but at the same time, I believe there's corruption within corruption that the corrupt may not even know about, because there's so much corruption. And then you got, I just have a hard time believing that so many people are corrupt. And then like for me, perfect example, I got this week that I discussed it on Nicole in all caps. I got Mikkel Vaughn filed another complaint against me. Okay, on top of the other ones, which I filed defamation complaint against him, and we'll be going to court next month. But in that, on the 7th, the same day the special judge was picked, he filed another complaint about a sign that was misplaced. And then something about my protected speech that somebody didn't like after I responded to being attacked by my opposition for 72 hours. And they were trying to get me put a $5,000 fine and what else? 1 year in jail and banned from the location, the polling location, because I made a comment about petties in the pews. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't have to go back there. It's not my polling choice of location. So, okay, fine. The punishment was a little extreme. And so for these last couple weeks going through that and trying to figure out, well, who's with who? Because I know what they've done to me already up to this point, and I know which Republicans, rhinos, because really, I've never seen Christian conservative Republicans treat military or veterans the way that I've been treated in the last 6 months, and that another veteran is telling people that my DD-214 is fake, my military documents are fake, I didn't do some of the things that I did. I mean, these guys have really went out to attack me. So I've been soul searching for a couple weeks, and I just truly, I think a lot of people are having to make decisions now on their own, because it is, we're so divided in Madison County, that I was really, as of Thursday, like, I don't personally think that Linda Smith, the clerk here, is in on everything or knows everything, right? Like, for some of the corrupt people here. I believe wherever political nepotism is, there's going to be political corruption. So we have a lot of political nepotism in Madison County. So of course there's going to be corruption, but then within that we have those layers of corruption. So they're not all together, and actually they'll probably wind up imploding all themselves. So I don't think everybody knows about it. And I do argue that point with my husband a lot, because he's a firm believer in, I don't even know what to call it, and if I say it wrong, then he's going to yell at me. So one day I'll have him on here so that we can argue about his stance on government and mine. And then I got a couple comments over here, and then I'm going to move along on something. So this merger makes me sick. The fact that they are letting anything foreign into our country, including tech, gives them a hand into possible harm to our country with eyes that aren't just America. Stephanie, I agree with that, because somebody else, and I promise as we go, you guys, I will have like a study sheet I will work on all week long to have better links available to go through the topics that we might talk about. And hopefully I just get special guests and we can, banter back and forth the whole entire time. I'd like to get Jerry Lopez on here or maybe to have those ash holes in the Veterans Coffee Club podcast MASH. That would be kind of cool, because Jerry Lopez is a veteran too. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But I do agree, somebody this week said something, and it was another veteran. That's why it's like my spider senses, okay, picked up. And they said that they could have access into all of our personal identifiers and information. And then that's when I'm like, whoa. Okay, I'm cool with the tech. I want us to have really cool tech and, all that. But I'm not cool with sharing a whole bunch of military information of our personal identifiers and access to all of our bases and just access to information, when those guys are some of the best infiltrators, for as small as they are a nation. They have a lot of good soldiers over there. So here's Karen. Limiting or picking and choosing. Who knows who is behind what? People don't lie. No trust. Now, I don't trust them because I wouldn't pick up some of these people. If I can't pick them up and throw them, I'm not going to trust them. I'm just kidding. Right now I'm getting old and I can't disarm. I have issues with this arm, so I don't think I could even throw half of them. But yeah, but they did dismiss the complaints this week, which made me like, okay, we're not completely lost as a society, that they're going to continue to keep punishing me for what I would consider constitutional violations, right? Like, I mean, from the time I had 8 different reasons why I had to move my signs from Saturday morning, April 25th, to Monday when that church posted something about me on their social media because I made a comment in a video across the street. So I wasn't even in their parking lot. And then they tried to say I was the one yelling at the church like a maniac. I have the videos. I wasn't yelling. I may have been speaking loud because I have tinnitus and I was outside and there was a lot of sound going on around me. So I may have been speaking loudly, but I was not yelling. You'll know. People know when I'm yelling. I sound like a drill sergeant and you're going to hear me from like a mile away. Okay. Punishment reveals tyrants' corruption as enemy of the people. Right, because what they do, Karen, they took my Indiana delegate position away. They refused to allow me to speak. They refused to let me rebut any of the false statements. And then it wasn't like real criminals get treated better than me, because at least when they go into a court of law, it's innocent until proven guilty, and they are given an attorney because they can't, some of them can't afford an attorney. And it feels like if you can't afford an attorney and you've committed a lot of crimes, you're going to get away with them because you just pay a better attorney. So I can't even get an attorney to help me. Now, I have been talking to one about some constitutional violations that may have been done, and we have talked class action lawsuits about what happened to me and several other Indiana delegates, but it still happened. So I wound up getting punished for, they labeled me as a Republican in bad standing for 10 years. And it really, from a moral and ethical standpoint, I have to stand back and say to the people that carried that through, if I have to commit a felony to be approved by them as a Republican in good standing, then no thanks. I'm not going to get in trouble and lose all my VA benefits to commit political, I don't even know, political tyranny. And I don't think everybody, like in Madison County, then it goes higher. So you got Grant County, Madison, yeah. Some people in Madison County, Grant County, Hamilton County, and Delaware County teaming up against me and then taking it to the state. And I was the only name that got read on that platform. And we afterwards counted at least 300 other Indiana delegates were either removed and they replaced people, appointed who they wanted, and we all feel like the deck was stacked in the audience, right? So how do you cheat without getting in trouble for cheating? You make it to where you put your people in these positions and you bump people. Ethan Hatcher got bumped because supposedly he didn't get his payment in time. I can't remember what Teresa from up in Steuben County, I can't remember what happened with her, but yeah, so several of them was just because they didn't get their dues in, which is the county party chair's responsibility to tell us. See, so now I'm getting totally away from the subject because I'm going into too much. Okay, let me get over here to the comments, because right now I can still read comments. I was watching a Candace Owens video yesterday or the day before, because there was some new stuff she was putting out, and Aaron's like, do you see how fast that those tickers, the comments were going? I mean, how do you even respond to that? And I don't think you can unless you're following along with the conversation. Okay, I already did that one. And Stephanie says, definitely do a deep dive into how much money every state sends Israel. That's a good one. Do you have a link for me, Stephanie? And if you do, could you send it to me? And then servants failing to do okay. I'm a little country and I'm a little hood. So I don't have the best grammar. So this word, it's like word of the day, and I don't want to botch it. I can't even spit it out. It's so funny. I am smart though. Even if I, you can't survive the streets of Anderson and Baghdad, Iraq, if I was silly and stupid. That's loud. I can hear me making joke. He's listening to it in the living room, and I can hear myself on his. That messed with me a little bit. Okay. These data centers aren't American or for American users, nor are flock cams. These are all brought about for Israel and the merger of tech progress. Okay. I won't go too far into that, but because you brought up, let me show you this guy that I like on Tyler Oliveira. Okay. This guy is so funny. Like, he's just funny. Okay. I mean, I've never seen a YouTuber do some of the stuff that he has done. One of my favorites is when he went into, what's that guy's name, Aaron? The pastor of the mega church. The pastor of the mega church where Tyler ran in and was running around his security in circles. The guy with the black hair and the big eyeballs that has the jet. California. Let me see. No, you're getting close though. Okay. This one right here. If you want to watch a funny, go back. That's a funny one. Any one of Tyler's things is funny, but he goes hard. So I wanted to do that real quick, but he has one I was watching. Did you see that face? I forgot to click on it and get his name. Okay, this. We were watching this last night. Okay. So I you can't see the name of it. Let me get off the screen. And I have two computer screens, by the way. That's why you see me looking this way a lot, because I'm watching something over here and I have them separate. So I'm running the podcast and StreamYard over here. And then I have what I'm working on this one over here. And it's the same computer. I just get to use two screens. And I have like 20 something tabs open so that I can go between topics if I need it. So if you guys want to see a really good one, a really good documentary, and what I would call boots on the ground, okay, I suggest watching this YouTube video by Tyler, because it also talks about the guys who are going out and deflocking the cameras. So if you can make it through watching people do what they do and listening to why they do it, yeah, this is a good one to watch. So to answer back to what Stephanie was saying, the data centers being connected to the flock cameras, and some say they're more surveillance centers than what they're telling us they are. And I don't know. I haven't picked a side on what I believe yet, because I feel like if I come to a final conclusion, then I won't, like in my mind, I won't learn anything else because I've already concluded the matter. So I don't like coming to a definite conclusion on certain things. So I don't know yet. I do know that I am anti-data center for like Madison County and anywhere that already has environmental contamination, water contamination. So Flint, Michigan is a perfect example. I wouldn't want them to put a data center up there where they can, just further contaminate the water, because I'm a firm believer if we don't have clean water, then what kind of nation or what kind of city, state do we have, right? If your people can't or don't have access to clean water in your city, town, county, state, then we need to be focusing on those things. And so trying to stick, okay, Madison County has a Superfund site, National Priority List Superfund site. I talk about it on Nicole in all caps. I don't want anything tapping into that until we figure out what's contaminating it and how to stop the contamination. So if we already have DCE, TCE, PFOS, because when you get into the water, the White River, and you see the, and I live on the White River, and I chose this house to be on the White River, but now that I know what I know, and my husband getting sick last year after touching what we believe to be contaminated water, I have a whole new take on what is actually happening with the White River now. So anyway, the non-dissipating bubbles that you're floating down the river with aren't natural. Let's just say that. If you go through the rapids and and you see the bubbles and they're not going away, it's because it's mixing something that's in the water. And it could be a cleaner, could be all kinds of stuff here in Madison County. So if we already got contaminated water, I don't foresee why putting a data center anywhere close to our water is a good idea if they can't even get a hold on water contamination themselves. And then when I was looking at the maps the other day, guess what? I saw one getting ready to pop up in Muncie, Delaware County, right on the White River. So even if we were to get a moratorium stopped in Madison County, we still got to worry about Delaware County and whatever counties down the White River line, right? Because once it gets into the river, it floats downstream, and it just is what it is.
Congress.
Okay, so that's him. So yeah, so the data center thing, that's a big deal. And then Karen, tech is to be used securing against foreign invasion. I agree. Because we had to fight our own ground game over there because the computers were not synced up over here. And there's a Air Force chick that teamed up with the Iranians against us over there. I shared her post, or shared some posts about her like last week. So yeah, they were some people, and I can't say for sure who, were definitely messing with our tech over there. So I would rather maintain control of all of our tech and not let anybody get access into it. And yes, denying rights and due process. Yes, up until June 7th, 2026, June 13th, well, no, if you really want to get technical, May 15th, from the time I received that complaint, the second complaint, because the first complaint was a whammy, okay, the one by Russ Willis. The second complaint was a triple whammy, because now they're telling me what I can and can't say, who I can and can't support, while some of their people are supporting Democrats, supporting libertarians, going on shows talking about libertarians, saying things about libertarians having a majority rule, and she's ahead of the Indiana Federation of Republican Women. That doesn't sound like a Republican to me, but yet they were able to place a complaint on me saying that I'm not a Republican and I need to be labeled as a Republican in bad standing because I supported a combat veteran or multiple veterans who happen to have a different political belief than me. That to me is ultimate tyranny, but that's just me. So, but yes, so denying due process and not allowing me to speak, it's supposedly their club and their organizations do have more laws than the grassroots voters and taxpayers. And unless we go to court and somebody can prove me wrong, that's where I'm at. Okay, let's see. Okay, and she says, unfortunately, it's not going to be used to protect our country from foreign invasion or foreign anything. It's to spy on Americans and control us, not protect us. And see, I have I do side with that a lot. I have a video of someone that did a deep dive. It made me want to get sick. I'll find it and send it to you. Yeah, anybody watching this, if you could send me links and videos to get into that would help my mind, help me learn something, I greatly appreciate it, because just like all researchers, sometimes we get stuck in these ruts with the same channels popping up, because it's like we get our stuff pre-programmed after we watch so many things. So sometimes I just keep getting the same sources. But once I do find it and I get connected to it, I will keep it in my arsenal. And sadly, you are so right, Stephanie, until all tyrants sent to Gitmo. Yep. Let's see. I don't even want to think about that, Karen. Okay, DC constructs their 10 square miles of constitutional gallows. Now, is that some type of prophecy? Because I've heard people talk about this. I remember like a few years ago when all them pictures started coming out of like the caskets and all the different conspiracy theories that came up with them caskets. So I don't know if they bust out some gallows in DC. It's gonna be a bad day for DC. And I don't know what I said, but okay. I definitely will find. Yeah, okay. So I'm so far behind over here, you guys. Let's see. Yes, data centers. I'll get off this screen here in a minute, but I still wanted to talk about this a little bit more before I sign off for the day, and I got about, I don't know, 30 minutes. And so people are tuning in, and I've talked a lot, so now I got to catch up with what everybody's saying. Yeah, so the other thing in Indiana, we don't want the data centers ruining our farmlands. And I don't think any of them can guarantee it won't. Because I mean, once you dig into the earth and you build a 30-acre building, I mean, that's a big build. I don't know. Any effort to send H2O to private and Fed agencies. Okay, here's another one. I have another friend that believes that the data centers are going to be feeding underground bunkers for the elite. And then I saw, while I was down that rabbit hole the other day, I saw this, what do you call it? A train track, supposedly like an underground one that they've been working on for really long. I saw Alex Jones back in early pre-pandemic, I would say maybe 13, and he got on there with that Ace Ventura dude, and they were standing somewhere in Missouri in front of what was considered a underground bunker entrance. And then so fast forward to this map that I saw, and I know it didn't have anything, maybe it did, maybe, I don't know, but this map that I saw came from New York into Indiana, down through Illinois, into Missouri, and out west. Now, in that person's perspective or opinion, they were saying that it felt like that all these data centers were getting close to these types of locations. So that is a rabbit hole that people can go down and study. I found some interesting stuff in it. I don't know how much truth there is to it. So it's like everything else. You got to find a good source and go from there. But I haven't heard the underground railroad theory for many years. So that was interesting. I'm fully against data centers. They are choosing drought-struck areas and contamination areas to destroy the communities. Even worse, for what they want is to push people into 15-minute cities. Okay, define the 15-minute cities. Oh, Karen might have done it for us. This is what I like. I like everybody. I like people communicating in my comments so I can read what you guys are saying. I don't know who her is. So I can't answer that one. What's this one? Okay, for those who don't know, Karen's down in Florida. Right, Karen? You're down in Florida. So she tunes in to listen to me often. And I like her input because she knows a lot about laws, codes, and things that I can't necessarily put up because I'm running a podcast and it's hard to do both. It's easy to pull these videos up because, I don't know, I learn. It's just one of the ways I learn. Okay. Okay, you are one of the true for America and for our community candidates that we need, but they labeled you bad when you are the on the good side and they are the evil ones. See, but what, like, if you want to talk scriptural, because I was crying about this the other day, the Bible does say that there will come a time where people call evil good and good evil. And then somebody else told me, if you're being persecuted in this life, is to be persecuted as Christ or something along those lines. And Aaron, if when you hear this, please get that quote for me right. But that's what he said something about it. And then another guy that I'd never met before, and I love when that happens. Somebody I'd never engaged with got on one of my posts the other day, and he made a comment about me being persecuted. And then it made him like me, because then he knew that I wasn't one of the corrupt that everybody's getting mad at. Yep. Stephanie says she's very much an environmentalist and human advocate and will fight for living beings over tech. And see, my degree's in electronic engineering technology. And so I've really had to step back and think about that one. Like what everybody's saying. And, I didn't even realize that I used AI and data centers as much as I do until this great debate came out. Yep. So Karen's down in Florida. I'm jelly. I would love to be in Florida. See? You always got to be able to learn something. Okay, almost to the bottom. Yes, I saw that theory too, that all of these data centers were taking our water to the elite bunkers underground. I kind of believe that, but I hope it's not. Now, I do truly believe some of them could be. I just have a hard time believing everything is. Lies spoken often will seem like truth. Right. So yeah. It's just horrible. And so then just because somebody, convinces themselves with a lie doesn't mean it's true. And yes, water is our most precious resource. So, okay, got through those. Now I'm going to go back over here and see if I can learn something for a few minutes. So see, this is the other thing. And I don't know if it's because the onset, everybody wants to say something. And then everybody gets this information and they bounce off each other. But the bad thing about watching some of these is that if one of them gets something wrong, it still gets repeated regardless if somebody else finds out that it's wrong or not. So that's the downside. Okay, here's a good one. But like I said, when you get into some of these videos, you got to be really careful who's putting the information out. And make sure you understand what you're researching on some of these. And then I just remembered something on the data center thing. My concern is I didn't realize until Indie Reporter said something, it was either last week or the week before, about cat videos, about the data center storing cat videos, and it made me chuckle. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes sense why Facebook Meta went to after your live gets deleted after 30 days. Well, Because if you got people doing these influencer, videos or TikTok videos, and all they're doing is talking about cats, I bet you there's a server somewhere at one of these data centers that all it does is store cat videos. I mean, kind of weird. Yep. So we're there in something. I can tell you that much just from my experience. So this is really hard for me to be able to accept that we would give full control to a foreign entity, corporation, or that we would, why are we sending them $3.3 billion for stuff? Did America just merge? But see, this is what I'm talking about. You go in, you can find whatever you want. And I'm pretty sure you can find the stuff that wants to feed the false. And so now I'm going to spend the rest of the week picking through all these because I didn't realize there was so many until right now. Oh. Okay, hold on. When was this one? 2 weeks ago. I'm going to go ahead and play this just because this says 1.15 trillion. So let's see. Does it pop up? Yep.
Find the right fuse for your job with thousands of options delivered fast to match exact specs and keep systems running.
A major political showdown has erupted.
When I do that, sometimes I'm thinking I'm getting ready to drop into a segment where these guys are talking and it's an AI voice. So what were we just talking about? Data centers. This stuff, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and play it because now I'm intrigued, but I think it's kind of weird at the same time because you can tell that it's a robot voice.
In Washington, U.S. Senate Democrats have blocked debate on the annual defense policy bill, arguing that Congress cannot move forward while President Donald Trump continues escalating the war against Iran. This is one of the biggest setbacks for the National Defense Authorization Act in recent years. The Senate voted 50 to 46 against opening debate on the defense bill. The motion needed 60 votes to move ahead, but Democrats united to stop it. The legislation would authorize much of Trump's proposed $1.15 trillion military budget, but Democrats say this is not the time to approve such a massive defense package while military operations against Iran continue without greater congressional oversight. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer strongly opposed the bill, calling it a permission slip for the Trump administration to continue military action against Iran without proper checks from Congress. Schumer argued that lawmakers cannot debate America's biggest national security bill while ignoring what he called the nation's most urgent national security crisis. But the Iran war is only part of the controversy. Several Democrats have also objected to provisions that would deepen military and intelligence cooperation between the United States and Israel. One proposal would require the Pentagon to appoint a senior official dedicated to coordinating defense technology, weapons development, and military integration with Israel. Another controversial provision focuses on data fusion, combining intelligence from multiple sources into a single targeting system. Human Rights Watch has warned that such cooperation could expose the United States to intelligence gathered through what it describes as problematic mass surveillance programs. At the same time, civil liberty and anti-war organizations, including the American Civil Liberties Union, J Street, Code Pink, and Win Without War, urged senators to block the bill unless Congress first votes on restricting funding for what they describe as Trump's unauthorized war against Iran. Several Democratic senators, including Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Chris Van Hollen, Ed Markey, Peter Welch, also urged colleagues to oppose the legislation. Chris Van Hollen argued that the bill would create a bloated Pentagon budget, place no restraints on the Iran war, and quietly expand intelligence sharing with Israel without enough public debate. The Senate vote also highlights a broader political shift inside the Democratic Party, where support for Israel has declined sharply ahead of the November midterm elections. For now, the annual defense bill remains stalled, with deep divisions over Iran, Israel, and military spending turning one of Congress's most important pieces of legislation into a major political battleground.
Did you see the AI generated? Let me go back. Because I almost thought for a second that it was real, but then it is real. Audio generated using Gen AI. So there's that. So you gotta be really careful anymore, even about listening to certain clips, because it could be AI generated and they can make up what somebody says by way of AI if they have your voice. So that's why I don't even like showing my face on a lot of these things. And people are like, why don't you show your face more? So that they can't recognize me in a crowd if I ever want to get away. Just kidding. But it's, I was trained not to let people identifiers. You don't want too many people to identify you when you're in public out and then when you look at flock cameras and stuff like that, how do you think they find out who people's identity is? How many in our government are run or part of NGOs? That's a good question. It goes into the bureaucrat stuff that I was talking about on another one. And then government's plural. And what said most likely not true. And see, that's the other, it's like an age of deception. And how do we know who's telling the truth? Because, these things don't all come with disclaimers. I was hoping that was a valid news source. But maybe not. Okay, so I lost. So yeah. So I don't know what to say. I was hoping that I would get a clear understanding of what the Israel merger is. And I think I'm left with more questions. And I hate that. I hate that. I hate it. Because now I'm going to have to really be paying attention to something that, what is that? I don't want to say false flag, but it kind of reminds me of such. So you got to pay attention to what's really going on so they don't, something weird doesn't happen and then you're stuck over there like, oh my God, I didn't know that was going to happen. Let's see if I can find a short clip on somebody's take on the treason. Okay. Oh, well, looks like if you want to go into a deep dive, Tucker Carlson has something. Forever enslave America's military. Now, you know what I'm going to be watching today? I got some stuff to do online, and when I get online and I got to work on some legal documents because I filed stuff pro se. So while I'm typing that up, I'm going to be watching that. This one up here, military merger. That's one I'm going to listen to. And I don't know the answer to that, Karen. Defunct. Yeah, you said defunct yet. I don't know. And then exactly how many of our governments have a huge dive? They are wrenching us around so much, so we deserve to know. Right. And I don't know. I don't even know how to find that information if I wanted to, because I'm still stuck down here in county stuff trying to figure out how all that works sometimes. What's stopping NGOs? Deep global reach, aiding attacks and illegals, entering U.S. grants via foreign fed State and local government's mission and goals not questioned, while trafficking not mentioned. I don't get the thing on trafficking. I still say that Steve Sumner was on the run and probably with sex traffickers. A lot of us thought that. NGO regulate. Yep, they are. Very lax. I'm still digging into the merger. There are definitely signs of a red or false flag. I'm not just one to stop my dive into information. Right. No. So I want to go watch some of Valhalla stuff because I may not agree with everything Valhalla says, okay? But like I was saying, some of us who get into these, these rabbit holes on subjects, it kind of helps me to hear. And I don't even know, I don't even know if I would consider him liberal, because he's like the most unique veteran that I have met in a really, really long time, because I can usually tell things about people or veterans and, yada, yada, yada. And I'm not gonna lie. When I first started listening to Valhalla talking about the Charlie Kirk stuff, the ballistics and all that, that's how I found him. Actually, was trying to learn more about the ballistics on the bullet and the gun, and if it was possible. If it wasn't possible, did they use a microphone? All that. I went down the rabbit holes with him. I initially thought that he would have been considered Republican. Okay, I don't know. I just thought he was. So maybe he was at one time and then he switched. But I've also heard him say things about Trump that I'm like, oh, I didn't see that coming, right? So that's why I don't want to put his stuff on here again, because it's hard to, I don't want to say censor, but I don't want to get flagged, and then I don't want to lose half my audience because he said something that makes them all mad. So yeah, so if you want to get into this topic, and then if you find good information that you think I need to hear, please send it to me, right? Because just do, because this is hard to pick. There's so many different ones here. How do you pick which one? And then, so as I'm looking, I got to go over here and look at who is posting it, right? So you can see here, you get the main video. Oh, the one thing I do like about YouTube, and you can't see my little arrow. I was trying to point at it. I like YouTube because it also does CC. So if you can't hear something, you can turn the CC on and read it. And so I really like that one. Okay, I'll tell you another one I like, and I forgot until right now when I saw him, is JP Reacts. JP Reacts is funny, but he's also another veteran. So I like listening to his stuff, because he's on point too. I mean, yeah, he's got a sense of humor. And I can already tell. I'm gonna watch this video. I'm gonna watch that JP. I wish you could see. Okay, so you know which one I'm talking about. It's this one.
The next Congress is gonna move
That guy.
forward.
Okay, go watch him if you get a chance. Let me see. I also, in case you didn't know, I have a group. I'm gonna jump over here real quick. There is a group that I put a lot of this information in, and the whole premise behind it is to be able to jump on here and share information with each other. So I'm going to put that in there. So if anybody wants to jump over and study some of this stuff, I'll put some more links in here as I go. And then this is where I'll be pulling stuff each week as I'm talking about it. And it just helps me keep it in one location. I was going to talk about tortious interference. It was my word of the day. But I'll skip that for another time. But yeah, if you want to go over and join up on the Veterans Podcast or Veterans Coffee Club podcast and send me stuff or share with the group. So this one right here was out of Texas. A bunch of the girls and Gold Star families. That they are women, but these are Gold Star families, which means they've lost loved ones who were in the military. One of these, if not both of these women, are with Vanessa Guillen's family. This is Kamisha Block. She was killed by another soldier in Baghdad, Iraq, on the same base, Camp Liberty, where I was at in 2008. She was killed in 2007. So when my story and everything I started going through was happening, the military police knew about this story. So of course they wanted to get me out of Dodge because they knew. And then another story about the kidnapping off the base, and nobody could figure out what was going on. So then they just pulled me out. So it is what it is. So I'm not sure who those families are. Let me see. But get on here. Head over and give Shanta Marie some likes, because she's out here fighting hard in DC to get things like the military sexual trauma acts passed, so that stuff doesn't keep happening to us. But yeah, here's that lady I was talking about last week. So when I was trying to do a quick dive on the Texas, I was pointing out all the stuff with the Fort Hood and Texas soldiers dying. I found one from Fort Bragg, and this story is incredible. So just makes you really think. So I found a free kind of documentary on Holly's disappearance. Here, I couldn't remember what her name was. I remember Holly, but Holly Lynn James. And so this was a soldier out of Fort Bragg, and so I put these in here because it wasn't on Hulu, like I said last week. So if you want to go watch interesting crime scene investigation stuff, if you're into that, it's right down my alley. So that's why I kind of cover those topics too. And I just want to jump over there real quick. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast does have its own social media, but I can't run the YouTube channel because I have to get more people. So it is what it is on that. That's how me and the Mouthwash talk show people, John, that's how we got teamed up. And so I'll just be coming from their platform for a while, and grow together, because just it's what you do, find allies. Okay, let me see. My heart hurts. Yep, it sure does. There's another one. She wasn't there, and I talked about Smitty last week. Private Smitty, his mom is going, I think she got the Private Smitty Act, where it was like some type of battle buddy system where they're supposed to check on soldiers. And just real quick on Smitty was a little different story, because he got sick, and he went to sick call, came back from sick call, and died in his room because he had a medical emergency, most likely, and nobody found him for a couple days. Nobody was checking on him. So she has a pretty intense story, and she tried to get laws changed so that there would be some type of battle buddy system for when soldiers get sick, that somebody continually checks on them every so often, like a fire watch, right? But it would be more like a med watch, so that doesn't happen to anybody else's son. And so her story is unique as well. And sorry, I not trust one with mask. Well, and I pointed that out, the mask thing. I pointed that out with my husband. So we didn't understand why Texas was putting the masks back on everybody. So, all right, guys. I'm winding down. It's now 10:53. Thank you for tuning in. I chose to go a different route on my topic. So even though I said at the bottom, I don't know. I was gonna do background. I was gonna talk about something else, but I just didn't feel like it was relevant right now for the first episode. So I will most likely cover it at some point in the future. Just not today. And I know my number one fan, Mr. Kapuscinski, and I have been married for, oh crap, 13 years. See, we got married in 13 years, and we've known each other since middle school, so he's like my best friend. And we made a joke the other day because somebody said when you date your best friend or you marry your best friend, you got a best friend for life. And I was like, an enemy. Like, dude, I swear to God, we fight on certain topics that's like, I cannot believe that we have stayed together this long. But it's because at the end of the day, we are friends too, and he does bring up good points of why he gets to stay in my life. So, can't debate that. And then, yes, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the support. I'll be back next week on Thursday for Nicole and All Caps. I have learned I'm not going to try to plan or tell anybody what I'm going to do for the show for the week, because like this week, stuff happens right before we go on and people can't always make it to the show. And so then I've got my mind set. We're going to talk about one thing and it's going to work out this way, and it doesn't. And thank you, Karen. Appreciate your support. Her and Stephanie both have been some of mine and Catherine's major supporters for many months. I'm surprised Six Puppies wasn't on this morning, but she sometimes isn't feeling good, and you never know what she's got going on. And she's another one that has just really helped me out greatly, and she sends me stuff, links and stuff in my inbox. So back to you got something you want me to take a look at, or you want me to discuss it, or you want to discuss it as a group, just send me the information and I'll get back to you. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Oh, what's it doing?
Grab a cup, pull up a chair. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast is on the air. Different branches, different posts, different years, same ride. We know the long convoys, guard ships, chow halls, pride. We know the crackle of a radio, boots humming on the floor, letters home, family calls, the waiting by the door. No matter where we serve or the uniform we wore, there's always room around this table. Come on in and shut the door. Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Pull up and take a seat. One cup, one story. Keep the pulse and beat. Veterans Coffee Club, where the words run deep. We show up, we speak up, and we keep what we keep. With a hot cup of coffee and some truth we need to say. Veterans helping veterans, that's how we lead the way. Blue or green, doesn't matter. Yeah, you still in. If you're in it now, say so. We all pack the boxes, we move from town to town. Hey! Late nights with the news on, yeah, and the phone right there. You know that life too, yeah, we live some of it. You ever have one of those days you don't know what to say? yesterday's warriors to those still serving today. We honor every sacrifice and the price that freedom paid. The Veterans Coffee Club Podcast. Grab a cup, take a seat. One cup, one story. Honest talk, no repeat. The Veterans Coffee Club Podcast. Say it plain, say it straight. We show up, we speak up. No backing out the gate. So grab a cup and join us. We keep it real, we keep it true. The Veterans Coffee Club Podcast starts right here with you. Veterans helping veterans. One cup, one story, and one conversation at a time.